Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach, and in today's video I'm going to be unboxing Hadrian's Wall. This one is one that I have really been looking forward to ever since trying out Raiders of Scythia, which was one that I wasn't sure that I was ever going to try out because I figured it would be very similar to Raiders of the North Sea, which is a game I really love. So I mean, wouldn't be that shocking if I tried it. But then my brother and sister-in-law bought that one, and I actually tried it, and I at first was not a huge fan of the artwork, but as I played it, it grew on me, and it actually, I believe it's kind of like Raiders of the North Sea with both expansions, and then kind of a little bit more, and maybe a couple changes. But I really love that game, so I was really looking forward to this. And actually, because that one was kind of based off of Raiders of the North Sea, I kind of was under the impression that this was like kind of in order, or was kind of replacing Explorers of the North Sea or Shipwrights of the North Sea, but that is not the case. And I've seen this one kind of over and over, and it's been one that I've had my eye on for a while now, just because it is a flip and write type game, which is ones that I typically tend to like, and they're ones that Michaela tends to like, and Jesse as well. And it looks like it's one that has a lot more, or at least a little more going on than some of them. A little more thinky. Kind of has bonuses kind of similar to Gon's. I believe Gon's Shown Clever. If you've seen that one, I believe it's. I hope that's the hope of what I'm hoping to get out of this one is kind of that, and maybe even more. Because if you know anything about me, I really love Euro type games. Games like that, and this one looks like that, so it's kind of taking that kind of flip and write or verb and write to the next level type thing, and it looks like it's a little over 20 pages, which is a lot. It actually looks like a decent amount of writing as well, so yeah, it looks like there's also examples in here, which is good, but this one may take a little while to read. We will have to find out. But one thing as well, I will send these over to my assistant. We've got a few things of cards here. But one thing that caught my attention as well is something you don't see, well, I haven't really seen in a flip and write or roll and write or whatever type and write, verb and write game. And that is Little Meeples. I just love Meeples in games. They're usually in a lot of the Euro type games that I love, and worker placement games, which is probably my favorite mechanism in games. So adding Meeples to this type of game really has me excited to see kind of how those end up interacting with those things. And also, another thing to note is I really love Garphill Games, and I've really loved the way they've worked Meeples into their games with the worker placement aspect as well. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how these end up playing into the game, because they always do an amazing job with that. They're some of my favorite games in general, and also some of my favorite worker placement games. But it looks like we also have blue and black as well. So a good choice, a good range of colors there for you to choose from. And then we have pieces of the wall, I believe. So these look, I like the look of the workers. These look kind of, trying to tell what kind of shape that is. It's slightly, at first I thought it was just kind of rectangular cubes, but it's actually slightly, like almost bent looking, kind of, not really sure how to describe it. It's not quite I mean, it actually has a little bit of an extra kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a little extra spunk, I believe it has. I don't know. I like it. I do like it because at first I thought they were just kind of rectangular cubes, but they're slightly off. So that's neat that they didn't just do straight up gray rectangular cubes. Then it looks like we've got some punch outs. Looks like we've got about 4 or 5 sheets of these same types of things, and looks like they punch out pretty well. Have some pretty nice artwork on there. It's pretty simple, but it's nice that they added that to it. I believe this is probably, from the looks of it, like a player board or something. Got little icons on there. Garphill Games is always really good, usually with their icons. They make them very clear. At least I've noticed that in the past. And this looks like it'll be no exception to that rule. They've got some banners. I think they've done things like that in the past as well, but I'm really digging that artwork. Like I said, we got a few of those punch boards that look like they're all kind of that same type of thing. Just got a few of those. Oh boy. Then it looks like this box is still very heavy. Oh boy. Oh, if you can see that. Those are some thick sheets. So you definitely know in your roll and write or flip and writes that you gotta, a lot of them have sheets that you rip off to use. And this one is no exception. That is probably the thickest one I've ever seen. Maybe it just looks that way just because of it being a whole normal. So if you have any of the Garphill games, you know their box size is kind of that smaller square. It's that size of a sheet, but there are a lot of them. So, but there's also a lot going on in this sheet. Definitely a lot of different boxes you can check here, it looks like. So that'll be interesting to see how those icons end up playing out. But yeah, there's a lot of iconography on this. Hopefully it'll be made very clear in the 20 pages of rules. But yeah, it looks pretty solid. I actually wasn't sure from some of the pictures. I hadn't really looked at it. I almost thought that maybe these were actually like things you could dry erase type boards that players got, but this is definitely not the case, as you can see here. But then it looks like you take one of these sheets as well, which has a ton more for you to do. So this kind of reminds me a little bit of Fleet the Dice game. If you've played that one, you get 2 sheets in that one as well, and there's quite a bit going on in that one. This one looks like it takes that to even another level. There's definitely a lot going on here. But I am very excited to try this one out. Like I said, outside of maybe Stonemaier Games, Garphill Games are probably my number 2 company that gets me really excited when I see one of their games. And the fact that they're taking on the verb and write genre really gets me excited, especially since they're adding their Meeples in there as well. So it'll be very interesting to see how this one plays out. And I better get to the cards that I almost forgot that my assistant so nicely opened up for me. So we got, looks like some different color cards here. Trying to tell if these are all the same. Oh boy, and then the backs. So these are just the backs, which are all very, very colorful. It's got some of that great artwork. A little similar, a little different. I'm trying to remember exactly what the artwork looks like from Raiders of Scythia. It looks like it's different than that. I thought it was kind of the same. It's similar. It's definitely closer to that than the North Sea games or the West Kingdom games. But I don't think it's quite the same. At least maybe time period. They got a little bit different of a look to them, but pretty similar. And it looks like we've got the different cards here. What do we got here? Architect. Constructed landmarks. 1 victory point, 2 victory point, 3 victory point. And then it looks like we've got some things on the bottom there. I'm sure it's very clear. Looks like all the cards kind of follow that same, or at least these ones kind of follow that same sort of pattern. which is good. I like consistency in the cards. Not sure if there's like 2 options here, or if these cards are used for multiple things. I always like cards, and I think Garphill does it pretty well too, of multi-use cards. I'm not sure if that's the case here, but it looks like you are able to move a meeple or something based on this, but then also possibly maybe get a reward down here or something like that. So not sure, I'm not 100% sure if that's the case, but it would not overly surprise me if that was the case, because they tend to do some cool things with multi-use cards as well. Then we got some of these. We got some different backs on those ones. It's not just the single players here, or single characters. These ones have 3. Not sure. I'm sure there's... I can't remember. I think this one has a solo option. And it does. It says 1 to 6 players, so I'm not sure if any of these are solo cards. But these look to be consistent as well. It might just be used for something else, because there's definitely a lot going on in this game, so it wouldn't surprise me. Probably need cards to do different things. And it looks like more of the other cards that we saw before. Ooh, that looks like an evil guy. He's very evil. He must be, maybe he's your competitor in a solo variant. That's all I can think. Ooh, he's ready to shoot you. You can see it. Look at that look in his eyes. I don't think he's slept in at least 3 days. He's been hunting you. But anyway, I'm really, this is getting me even more excited to play this game, even more than I was before. Hadrian's Wall. I really want to almost play it right now, but it looks like there's going to be a little bit of rules to be reading before that happens. But if you've made it this far and you like this video and want to see other unboxings, please leave a like. We definitely appreciate it. And also possibly subscribe. But otherwise, we will see you next time. And as always, do not forget to keep on nibbling.